Welcome back, and in the last episode of the Fireblade I fitted the carburetors, I balanced them, I fitted the tank with a new pepcock. And I'm going to try and say the word pepcock as often as possible for one of my subscribers, Stu, who mentioned he'd never heard it said so much. So I'll throw that in every now and again. Pepcock. I also fitted some of the bracketry for the fairings, and as you can see I've partially fitted some of it. I'm going to try and get most of this back on. I've refitted the rear brakes, which I didn't video, and I'm going to try and do the front brakes, which I've partly fitted. I'm going to try and take the exhaust off because I want to weld that, and hopefully by the end of this video we'll have most of this bike back together. So the rear caliper is fitted and it's working well. All I need to do is the front. So at the front we have the calipers fitted and the brake lines. I have cleaned and sprayed some of the fittings because they were a little rusty. I didn't Cerakote them. Obviously I can't Cerakote that because you need to bake it in the oven. But before I connect this up, I'm going to offer up the front mudguard because I'm not sure if I need the front mudguard off or on to fit the brake lines. Okay, so I'm struggling to get brake pressure. I got brake fluid coming out, but I fear that this is all gummed up. This is the slave cylinder. So I'm trying to take this off carefully because I'd like to put it back on because I don't have another one. Okay, hopefully that's savable, so I don't have another. Put a little hole in it, but should be okay. Right. Now, when I've taken these off in the past, from experience, it's just full of gummy shit. Like congealed brake fluid. I see a bit better now. Okay, so I did that off camera. It was a bit fiddly. Okay, that's not terribly gummed up at all. I'm sure I'm not getting brake pressure then. Okay, I'm just going to clean this up and put it back together. If you look at one of the videos that I did, I think it was on the ZX10, I might put a link in it. I took this out and this was full of stuff that looked like, I can only describe it, like plaque. It was just totally gummed. So that's what I was expecting to see. Odd. Okay, so I'll blow an airline through it and see what happens. Okay, so that's back together. Let's try it again. See if we can get some sort of pressure. Okay, after several attempts to bleed the brakes, I was struggling to get it hard. Now this is a problem that some of us suffer from, so don't be embarrassed about it. So I just tied up the brake lever, left it for 24 hours-ish, and obviously I've retied it for your benefit. Now I'm very, very firm. So remember, don't be embarrassed. There's always a solution to your problems. Okay, when fitting these, let me just take that off. You have this black clip that sits in there. I suppose it just helps support the flimsy plastic. Then you have this clip here, which looks very similar to that, but this is the right hand side. It does say on it there's a slight sort of tilt to it, so that is for the other side. Unfortunately, most of the bolts when I took this off broke because it was very rusty in this area. So I'm just gonna have to chuck some random bolts in for the moment. Okay, let's start with this slightly larger one first. Feel that one coming through. Okay, now the top ones. There's a little plate behind there, like it's like two bolts kind of welded together, which was very rusty, and one snapped, I think. So just trying to do the best we can with what we got. That's good, that's biting. And I need to do the other side, if I can get to it. Just going to put this bolt through so I can just catch the thread. Yeah, that's there. And I'm just hoping this one is big enough to do that, because it's also got to hold this pipe on. That's good, that's biting. I'll just do the other side before I tighten it all up. When you're not using original things, just make sure nothing's sticking through excessively. I'm going to probably try to replace those with something better, but it'll do for a minute. As I keep saying, it'll do for a minute. So I'm just bolting on the chain guards. And I'm still using these alternative fixings, as I don't have any decent original ones. Okay, once I get these panels on, I can then start figuring out how to put the rear tail back together. I got a lot of bits and not much of a clue, to be honest. Please give the video a like. So I need to put this bit on the back. I'm not sure if I needed to put this on first. This is just a surround for the rear light. So I got a couple of shitty screws which I was going to clean. I just remembered I got a bag of these, which I think are the same. I bought these for the to do the carbs. It's better, looks neater. So I'm trying to put the seat on, and I'm not sure if this bit is actually necessary. I think that is something to do with the grab rail. Okay, that's the seat back on. It took me ages. That's probably one of the more difficult things I've done on this bike, is just putting that on. Does it shut? Yes. Does it open? Yes. Whoop whoop. Okay, so I've got the old exhaust off, and I did try to weld it. I was aware of holes in it. There's a couple on the back, and there was a smallish one there, which I've made a lot bigger by trying to arc weld it. Now, I knew arc welding would probably blow a hole in it. I really needed a MIG welder, but I didn't have one, but I thought I'd give it a try. So I was going to buy a MIG welder to weld this up, because it'll be useful for other things, but in the end I went and bought a second-hand exhaust system. Now, this is in a lot better condition, a little bit rusty there. I'm going to paint this bit silver. I'm probably not going to bother with that bit. I'll just clean it up. Now, that was 80 quid, and it came with a silencer, the gasket and bracket, which is good because I've lost the other one. Now, this is a little bit of a rant. Well, not so much a rant, it's just a hello, Toby. Hello, good boy. Okay. Go sit up there. Okay. Lie down now. Good boy. So this is not so much a rant. This is just a bit of advice to people who are trying to sell stuff on eBay for extortionate prices. So that was 80 quid. I probably wouldn't pay much more than that for a second-hand one. A quick search on the old Google. I managed to find a company selling a full, or not a full system. You could get a full system for 300 quid. But the downpipes, you could get a stainless steel system for that for about 200, 219 quid. So if a second-hand one is much more than about 100 and 120 pounds, there's no point. I may as well buy the stainless one. And the stainless one was, it had this fitting on it, which was detachable. So you could then put a sort of race slipper system on it if you wanted to. But I've seen a lot of second-hand exhausts on eBay for excess of 150, 200 pounds. What's the point in paying 200 pounds when I can get a stainless steel system for 219? I think people think just because things are old, they're worth a lot of money. You know, this is not a Brough Superior, it's not an old Norton, it's just an old tired blade which needs a new exhaust. Like, I needed a horn for the blade. Original CBR900 horns, they were going for like 15 quid. I managed to get one for £4.77. Like I said, it's not an old vintage bike. It just needed a horn, it needs an exhaust. There's things on eBay that I've seen on there for 2 years, just sitting there. Nobody's buying them, and nobody's buying them because they're too expensive. So to all the people who have eBay channels or Facebook Marketplace or wherever you're selling stuff, just try and be a little bit realistic. Now let's try and get this exhaust on the bike. So I'm just going to give the end piece a little bit of a rub down and paint. I'll probably rub the rest of it down just to make it look tidy, but I'm not going to paint it. As you can see there, I've managed to give the garden a quick once over before the bad weather comes. Okay, so we've got the new exhaust fitted, or the new old second-hand exhaust. I did paint the front bit black and I painted the back bit silver. I've removed the tank because I had a sticky throttle, which I've still got a sticky throttle. I thought it was from under here somewhere, but when you take this off, it is not sticky, so it's obviously catching here. Despite the fact that I've cleaned it, it's still sticky. I did accidentally tip some acetone on my frame, which has really pissed me off. You can barely see it on the camera, probably, but I can see it. This is just trying to clean all the gluey shit off here with acetone. It flicked on the bodywork, which was okay, but it also flicked on here. So that's really annoyed me. So I'm going to have to get a new twist grip. So when you take it off there, it's fine. But when it's in situ, for some reason, it seems to be very sticky. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to fit the, not the fuel tank, the auxiliary fuel tank, or the slave fuel tank, I don't know what they call them. That thing. I'm going to fit that just to see what the exhaust sounds like, see if it sounds any different. Raining again, by the way. Okay, so that's better. The excessive smoke is just the burn off of WD-40 when I was trying to spray it around various areas, because I thought the sticky throttle was a sticky carb. So that will eventually go. Good. So I need a throttle tube. I think I need a bolt for the subframe. So for some reason I've lost one of these bolts. This one. Very strange. I got the nut for it. No, I haven't got the nut for it. I've put another nut on. So for some reason I've managed to lose one of the subframe bolts. I'll have to order one of those. I'm going to probably need some clips to put the fairings back on. I'll try and fit those up in a minute. And this bike then is more or less finished. Okay, so I'm going to try and get down to sorting the tank out. We got this blob here, which looks like it's got some sort of protection over it. There's more here. You're probably picking that up on camera. There's a couple of little bits and bobs everywhere. Now I can get away with touching these up, but I want to try and get rid of whatever this goo is. So apart from these couple of bits here, there's a little bit here which I probably guess is common with this, because when you take the tank off, it catches on the front fairing support. Bit of a bad design really. So I can probably touch these up. I'm going to try and do my best with this and this. I don't really want to spray it. There's another one there. So I've got a can of paint. I've got some beer. So I'm going to just take my time sanding this down, rubbing it down. I'm going to try various different methods, because I don't really want to go for a full respray. I'll come back to you periodically so you can see what's going on. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of acetone and see if I can melt whatever this goo is. Now I know the last owner of this bike, and I asked him, did he put anything on here to protect what was possibly a chip in the past, and he said he did nothing. So I don't know if this has been put on here or dripped on here. So at the moment it doesn't appear to be coming off. Okay, I can't really get rid of any of that by rubbing it down with acetone. So I'm going to try a little bit of wet and dry, a little bit of soapy water in it, and this is the highest I've got, which is 2,500 grit. So I've struggled to get some of this, whatever that is, off. I've scraped some of it off with a razor blade, and I scraped that off, and that came off quite easily. So it looks like somebody's put some sort of goo or gunk on it to try and protect it. So what I'm going to try and do is rub this down smooth. I might use this Dremel, it's easier. I'm going to try and spray it as a patch and see what it looks like. If it looks shit, I'll just spray the entire thing. But this is the worst bit. There's one over here. I don't know if you can see that. So I'll give this a little go, see what it looks like. Right, so this is where we are. I've used a razor blade to pick some of the blemishes and crud off. I've sanded it down a bit. This was quite bad. It looked like a couple of blemishes, but it was all underneath all the paint. I think I'll have to do that a bit more. There. But I've got most of the odd whatever that was on there off. Not sure if you can see that. That might need a bit more work. So I'm wondering whether I can touch these up, blend them in, spray them in, then lacquer the tank. So I'm going to give it a try. It'll either work or it won't. I'm going to come back to it in a second. It'll seem a second to you, but it's not. So I'm just trying to build this up with a little bit of paint. This is from a spray can. I might spray it. I'm just trying to build it up first. I've touched this up a little bit, as I might have shown on the camera. Then I give it a quick little blast with this to see what it looked like. And in all fairness, it looks really good, the bit I have done. So the bits I have sprayed, I started here. You might be able to see the light shining off that. I haven't done it all, I just sprayed that little bit. A little blast there. There. I know you can still see what's underneath it, but in all fairness, this paint is going on really, really well. So I'm very, very tempted to try and mask up the decals and then just spray it with this rattle can. Okay, so after seeing the results of the spray that I put on there, my plan was just to spray it with the rattle can and tape around the decals. But since I seen you last, the tank fell on the floor. It fell off its perch. So then I had to rub it down because the fuel that was in it damaged the paint that was already there. So I've rubbed it down. I haven't finished yet. There's a couple of blemishes here and there. And I think I'm now pretty much committed to a proper spray. So before I tape this up, because these are original stickers and they've been lacquered over, so I'm thinking if I can tape up carefully around it, then spray it, see how that looks, maybe then lacquer over that so it looks normal. I'm going to take a look at that, but before I do so, I think I'm going to give the Honda dealer a ring. It shows online that the stickers are available, but you've got to ring for a price. They come individually as 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm guessing that they're going to be very reasonably priced, knowing Honda. So let's take a guess at prices. I reckon they're going to be £30, 30 quid a piece. So what's that? 120 quid. If it's that, I'm not going to pay it. If they're about 15 quid each, I may do. So I'll give them a ring tomorrow. So it's the next day. It's raining again. It doesn't always rain here, just most of the time. It's the next day and I rang the Honda dealer to see about the decals for this. It does say ring for price, but when I rang they said they're non-available. So I'm stuck with having to save the ones that are on it. Now I did start to mask around this one with standard masking tape, and then I found this other tape which I believe is for masking up paint jobs. I think it gives less sort of paint leakage. But I'm going to keep doing this one because this is a pain in the arse because it's all little bits. Now if I could get a thicker roll of it, it'd probably be easier. But I went to my local Motor Factors and they didn't have any. So I'm going to stick with the normal masking tape. I did look online to see if you could get aftermarket decals, and I came across one site and you could get the full decal kit for something like €430. I'm not paying that, so I'm gonna have to crack on with this. Next time you see me, hopefully this will be painted. I'm gonna end this video now because I think it's long enough. So I'm gonna get this painted, hopefully lacquered. I've ordered a new twist grip. I've ordered a set of original grips for the Fireblade. I got some bolts, some bits and bobs to put on it that I've bought. And once this is done and on, I think that's pretty much done. So hopefully see you in the next video.